Listen, before we begin, I want you to do something for yourself. Forget every doubt, every hesitation, every voice inside you that whispered, "Who will listen to me?" Because for the next 43 minutes, you are not just learning communication. You are rebuilding the identity of a communicator who can walk into any room and shift the energy with a single sentence. People don't fail because they can't speak. People fail because they've never been taught what it means to communicate with power. So today, you're going to learn the kind of communication that doesn't just inform, it transforms your voices, your value. The world pays attention only when you speak with purpose. Most people don't realize how powerful that truth is because they've spent years shrinking their voice to fit the expectations of others. They speak softly when life demands courage. They hold back when they should step forward. They wait for permission when every opportunity in their life is begging them to take ownership. But understand this, your voice is not just a sound you make. Your voice is a reflection of your identity, your conviction, your internal world. And the moment you start speaking with purpose, the world around you will shift. People respond to certainty, they respond to intention. When you speak from a place of clarity, confidence, and direction, you naturally command attention. Not because you asked for it, not because you tried to impress anyone, but because purpose is magnetic. A voice backed by purpose hits different. It carries a force that can't be faked. You can hear it in the tone. You can feel it in the energy behind the words. You can sense it in the presence of the person speaking. Your voice becomes valuable the moment you choose to make it intentional, but that's where most people struggle. They speak only to fill silence. They talk because they're nervous. They ramble because they're unsure of their own thoughts. They communicate outwardly while being disconnected inwardly, and here's the truth, the world has no time for empty sound. People have become experts at filtering out noise. They are surrounded by endless voices, endless content, endless opinions. What they are starving for is purpose, something real, something grounded, something that carries weight. When you speak with purpose, you cut through the noise, your words land, they penetrate, they stay. You become someone whose voice is not easily forgotten, someone whose presence is felt before the message is even delivered. That's the difference between speaking and communicating. Anyone can speak, but not everyone communicates with intention. Not everyone has the courage to align their voice with their mission. Not everyone is willing to stand behind their words with the full force of their identity. Your voice is not meant to stay small. It's not meant to stay hidden. It's not meant to stay safe. Your voice is meant to elevate you. It's meant to open doors. It's meant to create opportunity. It's meant to lead. But none of that happens if you stay in the habit of speaking without understanding the power you carry. You have a voice that can influence, inspire, direct, empower, and uplift. But that power only activates when your voice becomes connected to your purpose. Purpose gives your words direction. Purpose gives your voice strength. Purpose gives your communication impact. Without purpose, you're just another person talking. With purpose, you become someone worth listening to. You become someone people trust, someone people believe in, someone people follow. The world listens when you sound like you know why you're speaking. The world leans in when your message comes from conviction instead of insecurity. But here's the deeper truth. Before the world can value your voice, you must value it first. If you speak as if your words don't matter, people will treat them the same way. If you speak like you're unsure whether you belong in the room, people will assume you don't. But when you speak with the energy of someone who knows their voice carries meaning, you shift the dynamic instantly. You shape the room instead of shrinking inside it. You influence the atmosphere instead of absorbing it. Speaking with purpose does not mean speaking loudly. It means speaking clearly. It means knowing what you're trying to say and why you're saying it. It means aligning your voice with your identity, your values, your mission, and your standard. It means owning your message without apologizing for its strength. When your voice and your purpose move together, you become unstoppable. And the beautiful thing is this, you don't need to wait for the perfect moment to start speaking with purpose. You create the moment. Every conversation is an opportunity. Every interaction is a stage. Every word is a seed. Your voice can shift your relationships, your opportunities, your career, your influence, your life if you choose to use it intentionally. Never forget this. Your voice is your value, and the world is waiting for the version of you who doesn't speak to be heard, but speaks because what you have to say comes from truth, from certainty, from purpose. When you speak like that, the world has no choice but to listen. Communication is not about talking. It's about transferring conviction. Most people confuse communication with the ability to push out sentences, fill the air, or sound impressive. But real communication has nothing to do with how much you say, it has everything to do with what you carry when you say it. Conviction is the energy behind your words. Conviction is the force that makes people lean in, pause, listen, and remember. When you speak without conviction, your message disappears the moment it leaves your mouth. But when you speak with conviction, your message enters the mind and stays in the heart. That is the difference between noise and influence. Conviction is born from a deep belief in what you're saying. It comes from internal certainty, not external validation. The world responds to the communicator who speaks from a place of alignment, clarity, and inner truth. People don't follow words, they follow certainty. They follow someone who knows what they're talking about, believes in what they're saying, and is willing to stand behind every syllable. When you speak with conviction, you're not asking for permission. You're not seeking approval, you're not hoping people agree, you're transferring the belief you already own, and that brings us to the second truth. Your voice is your value, the world pays attention only when you speak with purpose. Purpose is the root of conviction. If you don't know why you're speaking, your message will never feel real. The greatest communicators don't speak to impress, they speak to express something meaningful. They don't talk to be liked, they talk to be understood. They don't speak out of pressure, they speak out of calling. Purpose turns your voice into something powerful, something valuable, something that cannot be ignored. But most people speak without purpose. They speak out of habit, fear, or insecurity. They talk to fill silence or avoid discomfort. They try to sound confident instead of being confident. That's why their words fall flat. You can hear the uncertainty, you can feel the hesitation, you can sense the lack of conviction. When you speak without purpose, every word becomes forgettable, but when you speak with purpose, every word becomes undeniable. Your purpose gives your voice direction, your conviction gives your voice weight, and together they create communication that transforms people, not just informs them. If you want to communicate with power, you must first decide what you stand for. You cannot speak with conviction about things you don't believe. You cannot influence others with ideas you haven't internalized. Your voice will never convince anyone of something you haven't convinced yourself of first. People listen when they feel your message matters to you. When your words come from a place of truth, they carry a kind of gravity that pulls people in. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need theatrics. You don't need to pretend. Real conviction is quiet but undeniable. It's steady, it's grounded, it's present. It's the kind of certainty that makes people feel safe in your message because you sound safe in your identity. Communication is the art of transferring that inner certainty to another human being. It's taking what you know, what you believe, what you value, and delivering it in a way that impacts someone else's perspective. It's not about being perfect with your words, it's about being honest with them. When you speak from conviction, even your simplest statements carry meaning. You don't need fancy vocabulary, you don't need rehearsed lines. You just need alignment between your thoughts, your beliefs, and your voice. But here is the challenge. Many people never unlock their voice because they never unlock their purpose. They want to communicate with power but avoid the process of becoming clear about who they are and what they believe. Conviction cannot grow in confusion. Purpose cannot exist in fear. If you want to speak with impact, you must first confront the parts of yourself that doubt your value. Because the truth is simple, the world will only value your voice when you value it first. When you recognize that your voice carries weight, your entire posture changes. You speak with intention. You speak with clarity. You speak with ownership. You speak like someone who knows their message has the power to influence thinking, reshape narratives, and shift lives. Your voice becomes a tool, a gateway, a force. Communication at its highest level is not about your vocabulary, your tone, or your volume. It's about your conviction, it's about your purpose, it's about your inner truth projected outward. When you speak from that place, you don't just talk, you transform. You don't just communicate, you connect. You don't just express, you elevate. So remember, communication is not about talking. It's about transferring conviction, and your voice will only carry value when it carries purpose. When you speak from a place of truth, people listen. When you speak from a place of purpose, people feel. And when you speak from conviction, people change. If your words don't move you first, they will never move anyone else. This is one of the deepest truths in communication, yet most people never realize it. They spend so much time trying to sound motivational, impressive, or intelligent that they forget the most important ingredient, sincerity. You cannot ignite someone else with a fire you don't carry inside yourself. You cannot inspire from a place of emptiness. You cannot elevate others with words that don't elevate you first. True influence doesn't start with technique, it starts with emotion, belief, and inner alignment. Think about the moments that changed your life. They weren't speeches filled with perfect vocabulary. They weren't flawless presentations. They were moments when someone spoke from the core of their being and you felt the truth behind their words. What moved you was not the sentence, it was the soul behind the sentence. That's why your words must touch you first. If your message doesn't shake something inside you, it won't shake anything inside the listener. Most people try to communicate from the outside in. They focus on structure, tone, gestures, and delivery while ignoring the most important element, the internal spark. But powerful communication always works from the inside out. The emotion leads the expression, the conviction shapes the tone, the belief fuels the message. When your words rise from a place of deep connection to what you're saying, they carry a kind of authenticity that cannot be manufactured. People can sense the difference instantly. They can tell when you're speaking from memorization versus when you're speaking from meaning. They can hear the gap between performance and passion. They can feel whether you're saying something because it sounds good or because it means something to you. And that feeling determines whether your message lands or fades away. If you want your words to move others, they must first move you emotionally. You need to feel the impact of what you're saying. You need to believe in the message at a level that stirs your own energy. Communication becomes powerful when your message is connected to your heart, not just your mouth. It's not about theatrics, it's about truth. It's about speaking from a place of personal experience, personal struggle, personal insight, and personal ownership. Your audience does not want perfection. They want connection, they want realness, they want to feel that you mean what you say, they want to trust that your message is alive inside you. When you speak words that don't move you, you force the audience to work harder. You leave them trying to search for meaning you didn't provide. You leave them trying to find emotion you didn't feel. But when your own words move you, the energy behind them becomes contagious. The conviction becomes transferable. People don't just hear you, they experience you. Some people wonder why they never get the reaction they expect when they speak. They blame the audience, they blame the environment, they blame the timing. But the real truth is this: the message lacked emotional authenticity. The words didn't come from a place that mattered to them. They were reciting lines instead of revealing truth. Communication is not recitation. It's revelation. It's the courage to speak from a place inside yourself that is honest, raw, and alive. And here's the beautiful part: when your words move you, you don't need to try to persuade. You don't need to force emotion. You don't need to manipulate energy. Your inner fire naturally flows through your voice. People can't help but feel it because it's real. That's what creates connection. That's what creates influence. That's what creates transformation. Your message becomes powerful the moment it becomes personal. When you speak from your own growth, your own pain, your own lessons, your own breakthroughs, your words carry weight. They carry depth, they carry authenticity, and authenticity is the most powerful force in communication. People don't follow flawless speakers, they follow truthful ones. So before you speak, ask yourself, does this message live inside me? Does it stir something in my heart? Does it inspire me, challenge me, strengthen me? Because if it doesn't, you need to go deeper. You need to reconnect with the why behind your message. You need to find the emotional truth that fuels your words. When your message moves you, it becomes impossible for your audience to remain unmoved, because people don't respond to information, they respond to emotion. They respond to sincerity, they respond to conviction. They respond to a voice that is connected to the heart behind it. That is the essence of powerful communication. So remember this: if your words don't move you first, they will never move anyone else. Speak from your depth, speak from your truth, speak from your fire, and your message will carry the power to shift anyone who hears it. Great communicators don't wait for confidence. They create it through action. Most people sit on the sidelines of their own potential, waiting for some magical surge of confidence to rise inside them before they dare to speak, share, lead, or influence. They keep postponing opportunities because they believe confidence is something that appears first, something that arrives before courage, before clarity, before expression. But that belief is the very thing holding them back. Confidence doesn't show up at the beginning. It shows up after you take action. It is the result of showing up, not the requirement. Great communicators understand this. They know that confidence is built, not found. It's created in the moments when you decide to step in, even though your hands are shaking. It's forged in the seconds when your voice wavers, but you speak anyway. It grows when you deliver your message even while your heart is pounding. Confidence is the reward for taking action, not the permission slip. Every time you open your mouth despite the fear, you build another layer of strength. Every time you speak when your mind is telling you to stay quiet, you rewrite who you are. And every time you show up with your imperfect voice, you become someone who no longer needs perfection to move forward. People think great communicators were born with some special gift. They imagine a natural ease, a natural charisma, a natural certainty. But that's a myth. The truth is, they became great because they practiced in moments when no one else was willing. They embraced the awkward beginnings. They pushed through the discomfort of hearing their own uncertain voice. They took the risk of sounding imperfect, and each risk built their confidence brick by brick. They didn't wait to feel ready. They acted until readiness was the only outcome left. Confidence grows through exposure. The more you speak, the stronger your voice becomes. The more you face your fear, the less power that fear has over you. Nothing builds confidence faster than showing yourself that you are capable. You cannot think your way into confidence, you can only act your way into it. You can read books, watch videos, rehearse lines, but none of that replaces stepping into the moment and letting your voice come alive. Action is the catalyst, action is the teacher, action is the transformation. Great communicators develop confidence by embracing imperfection. They know they will stumble, they know they will make mistakes, they know they will forget lines, mispronounce words, speak too fast, or freeze for a second. But they also know none of that disqualifies them. Each imperfect attempt is a step toward mastery. Each uncomfortable experience is a lesson that sharpens their presence. They understand something most people never learn. Confidence is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward while fear is still present. Your voice becomes stronger every time you use it. You don't need to know everything, you don't need to sound flawless, you don't need to wait for some perfect moment. You just need to begin, start speaking, start sharing, start expressing, start communicating. Let your growth come from practice, not imagination. The more you speak, the more natural it becomes. The more you communicate, the more fluid you feel. The more you expose yourself to the act, the more your mind realizes, I can do this. Action transforms belief. People admire confident communicators because they represent something we all crave: freedom, the freedom to speak without fear, the freedom to express without self-doubt, the freedom to show up without shrinking. That freedom is not gifted, it is built, and you build it one courageous action at a time. Confidence is the echo of your repeated bravery. It is the side effect of choosing to show up. It is the natural consequence of proving to yourself that you are capable. When you speak more, you believe in yourself more. When you step forward more, the hesitation fades. When you take action more, the doubt dissolves. Great communicators don't have confidence because they waited for it. They have it because they created countless moments of action that shaped their identity. They earned their presence, they earned their voice, they earned the certainty you feel when they speak, and you can too, if you stop waiting for confidence and start building it. So remember, confidence is not the starting point, it is the outcome. The moment you decide to act, you invite confidence to grow. Speak even when you're nervous, communicate even when you're unsure. Step into the moment even when your voice shakes. Because every time you choose action over fear, you are creating the confidence that will one day carry you effortlessly. Greatness belongs to the ones who dare to begin. Your story becomes powerful the moment you decide it matters. Not when the world validates it, not when someone finally appreciates it, not when your circumstances improve. It becomes powerful the moment you choose to stop hiding it, minimizing it, or apologizing for it. Most people move through life believing their story is insignificant. They compare themselves to others, convinced their journey is too simple, too ordinary, too broken, or too painful to carry any real value. They think only dramatic success qualifies as story-worthy, or that only a perfect past gives them the right to speak with authority, but the truth is the exact opposite. Your story gains its strength not from perfection, but from authenticity. And authenticity is unlocked the moment you decide your story has meaning. The world doesn't determine the value of your story. You do, and people don't respond to greatness. They respond to realness. They respond to someone willing to be vulnerable, honest, and courageous enough to share what shaped them. Your breakthroughs, your failures, your struggles, your lessons, your transformation, your wounds that became wisdom. Every chapter of your life carries a message someone else needs, even if you don't see it yet. Your story matters because it holds the blueprint of your becoming. It's the source of your strength, the foundation of your voice, and the heartbeat behind your purpose. But until you decide that it matters, it remains buried, locked away where it can't help anyone, including yourself. When you treat your story like something to hide, you silence the very thing that makes you powerful. But when you embrace it, own it, and speak from it, everything changes. The moment you decide your story matters, you reclaim control. You stop letting your past be a place of shame and start turning it into a source of power. You stop running from your experiences and start using them. You stop allowing life to happen to you and begin using your narrative to impact others. People follow leaders who speak from ground they've walked. People trust those who have lived through the mess and turned it into meaning, but many never reach this point because they underestimate the influence their story holds. They think, who cares, or why would anyone listen to me? That mindset kills potential. It kills connection, it kills purpose, because the truth is, your story isn't small. You just haven't viewed it through the lens of impact. When you change the way you see your story, the world changes the way it hears you. Your story matters because someone out there is living a chapter you survived. Someone is fighting a battle you've already overcome. Someone is drowning in doubt you learned how to silence. Someone is looking for the hope you discovered when you refused to give up. When you share your story, you give that person a lifeline. You show them what's possible. You remind them they're not alone. You give meaning to their struggle through the meaning you created from yours. Your story is powerful because it carries your truth, and truth, spoken with courage, moves people. It cracks walls, it opens hearts, it changes perspectives, it allows others to see themselves in your journey. You don't inspire people by pretending your life has been perfect. You inspire them by showing how you turned your imperfect journey into strength. The moment you decide your story matters, your communication evolves. You no longer speak from insecurity. You speak from identity. You no longer talk from memory. You talk from mastery. You no longer whisper. You declare. You no longer minimize. You magnify. Your voice gains authority because it's backed by lived experience. Your message carries weight because it's rooted in something real. Your presence strengthens because you're no longer hiding any part of yourself. Your story becomes a platform, a bridge, a tool, a weapon, a compass, a legacy. It becomes the foundation of the lives you will impact, the people you will guide, and the transformation you will create. But it all begins with one internal shift, choosing to believe your story matters. That decision gives you permission to speak boldly, stand firmly, and influence deeply. That decision frees you from shame, fear, and hesitation. That decision activates your voice, your purpose, and your future. So understand this. Your story is not ordinary, it is not small, it is not irrelevant. It is powerful because you lived it, you survived it, you learned from it, and you rose from it. The moment you decide it matters is the moment your life stops being something that happened to you and becomes something you use to impact the world. So let me leave you with this. Your voice is not just a sound. It is a tool, a weapon, a bridge, a legacy. You are not here to whisper your way through life. You are here to speak, to impact, to shift, to awaken, to lead. And from this moment forward, promise yourself one thing. When I speak, I will speak with purpose. When I communicate, I will communicate with power. And when I show up, I will show up like someone who expects to be heard. Because the world does not listen to the loudest voice. The world listens to the most certain one. Be that voice.